Well, we estimated $10 billion. Earlier, the chairman mentioned, and I agree, that roughly when you put up a new power plant, the ballpark figure is something like $1 million per megawatt. In other words, with the $10 billion amount that we have paid and about to pay in the coming years, this can set up about 10,000 megawatts, maybe 10 1,000 megawatt plants. Would that be correct? Attorney Tolentino?
Sure, following the assumptions, that would be logical.
And what is our capacity right now? Power generating capacity? About 3,000 megawatts.
Correct, sir, about 3,600.
So we have paid an amount that is enough to pay for 3 times the power plants that we need. Congressman Roilo has a proposal, and his proposal for the activation of the nuclear power plant is to the tune of about $1 billion, Mr. Chairman. This is about, we're talking about 10 power plants here, whether coal-fired or nuclear. And my final question, has the government looked into another option, which is to pre-terminate these IPP contracts, buy them out, so that we can save, maybe instead of paying another $3.5 billion, pay them a much smaller amount, buy them out, so that we can stop this take or pay provision.
Sure, that option has always been looked at by government. It's just that I think that...
and finance it by some other way. Instead of financing it by paying for something that we're not using, finance it. I think this can be a very viable option. So on that note, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank our colleague from Zambales for allowing me to ask the question.
Attorney Tolentino, I'd just like to pursue the points raised. With regards to the IPPs, we all know that when you buy power, if you're the DU, you usually get the cheapest power. And that's how the system works. The problem is your GenCos, meaning your IPPs are competing with all other GenCos. And we know that yung IPPs are more expensive when they produce power compared to the other generating companies. So how do you expect these people to compete? That's why usually you don't get a demand higher than 70% or usage, because mas mahal sila kaysa dun sa mga other GenCos in the market. So how can you correct a situation na at least unahin muna sanang mabili yung power generated by the IPPs than the other GenCos? Para at least instead of you subsidizing 30% of unused power, at least a majority of the power will be utilized. Kasi that's the situation right now. Ako si Meralco, bibili ako sa mas murang generating company, but ako bibili sa IPP, na alam ko naman mas mahal yung production nila ng kuryente.
Yes, ma'am. To answer, ma'am, I think we'll have to look at the how this is being done right now. Some of the electricity produced by IPPs are sold to customers through bilateral contracts. Those contracts have a fixed rate of purchase for the.
When you say it's bilateral, is it competitive, higher than market, lower than market, or palugi than market?
Not necessarily, ma'am. It's case to case po.
Are the IPPs located in areas wherein there are no other GenCos operating or yung nagsusupply? That's why you can afford to come out with bilateral contracts with the DUs?
No. Some yes, but the DUs, ma'am, NPC could afford to have bilateral contracts with DUs for power coming out of IPPs. Because NPC had a mix of sources. So once electricity goes into the system, you really don't know where it comes from.
But NPC is buying it from the IPs, from the IPPs at what rate? At a loss?
Generally, yes, ma'am, because there's a take or pay.
So whether they produce or not produce, talagang NPC will have to buy the power.
Yes, ma'am.
Cannot NPC just utilize at least 100% before buying from other sources?
It's a mix, ma'am. They have to manage also they have to mix it with electricity coming from cheaper power plants, so they achieve a balance for that, so the loss won't be that much, and the utilization of the other plants is.
So are you trying to tell me that even though you NPC doesn't buy 30% or 100% from the IPPs, in the long run it will still be cheaper to buy from the other GenCos than buying 100% from the IPPs at a certain price, so that government lang will not lose?
Not necessarily po. Not necessarily. NAPOCOR could do that because it had a mix of power plants of different fuel types. Some cheaper during peak.
No, I understand the peak demand and all that. But what I'm trying to say is, NAPOCOR kasi is government, and some of the IPPs kasi is also government managed. So what I'm saying is, instead of you, NAPOCOR, instead of me buying from a private entity at a cheaper rate, why don't I just buy na lang all government produced energy? Or at least, if in case I bought it at a higher price, at least I know the money went back to government also. Instead of me buying at a cheaper source, but the money naman that you're bringing out goes to a private corporation. Hindi ba naman lugi na yung gobyerno kasi sa kapo gobyerno rin siya bumibili? Kasi ito naman, magbabayad din kayo sa pisang ng utang ng NAPOCOR eh.
Yes, ma'am. It's a matter of balancing po what is currently in the asset list of national power. If you put in all your demand into the IPPs, you will still have some power plants that are underutilized, and therefore you would be spending for those plants.
In government power plants?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we have is an oversupply of government power plants, whether IPP, coal, or geothermal. Masyadong marami ang government-owned.
It's not to put it too simply, ma'am. It's the situation in Luzon should be differentiated from the situation in Visayas.
I'm just talking about the Luzon scenario.
It's just that there's an oversupply here because of some circumstances that we can't efficiently use the electricity being generated here to put it to some areas that need electricity, and there's a
So
little
all you're saying is,
bit
but NAPOCOR doesn't buy from private companies. They're trying to utilize as much as possible energy